Izanagi's Burden is an exotic kinetic sniper rifle available from completing the mysterious box quest. For a full quest breakdown, please see the description. The main perk, Honed Edge, reads, holding reload consumes the magazine and loads a round with additional range and damage. The weapon also features the Outlaw perk. Let's look at the Honed Edge perk a little bit more, since it's the only real feature that separates this from just any other sniper with Outlaw. Holding down reload will take up to 4 rounds from either your magazine or reserves and combine them into one powerful super round. This will give you the Honed Edge buff that will be applied to your next shot. Once it's fired, you can reload normally or hold reload again to get another Honed Edge shot. As far as damage goes, a 4x Honed Edge buff will do the equivalent of 5 shots. A 3x stack will do the equivalent of 3, a 2x will do the equivalent of 2. These damage numbers are only for PvE. In PvP, the only way to one-shot someone in the body naturally is with a 4x stack of Honed Edge. A 3x or 2x stack will not do it. However, the 2x and 3x stacks will allow you to one-shot roaming supers provided you hit a precision shot. So now that all the technical stuff is out of the way, time to go over some quirks with this perk. Holding reload, as stated before, will allow you to gain the Honed Edge buff provided you have the ammo for it. However, once you have the buff, reloading will cause you to naturally reload and lose the buff along with the ammo used to gain that buff. In addition, the reloading effect can be a little bit finicky. Sometimes after you fire a shot and hold reload, it will just naturally reload 4 instead, meaning you will reload again if you want to get that buff. If you're trying to use this in a DPS phase, that can get a little bit frustrating if you don't time it right. Also, since this is probably the biggest question, standing in a Lunafaction Rift or Titan Barricade will not give you infinite Honed Edge shots. After you fire that shot, it's gone, and you just have a normal sniper rifle. You will have to reload again if you want the Honed Edge buff. Alright, now that all that's out of the way, let's get into how this weapon actually performs in PvE. The greatest strength I see for Izanagi's Burden is that it isn't a heavy weapon, but can act like one. The Honed Edge perk allows you to kind of build your own power weapon for a single shot. So if you just need a normal sniper, you are free to use it. But if you need some absolutely massive damage, then hold reload and you can unleash 5 shots with a single trigger pull. The other thing I really like is that Honed Edge buff lasts indefinitely until you fire it. So what I like to do is at the start of an activity, just load up a 4x shot and then go about my business. When I see something that absolutely needs to die, then I can swap to Izanagi and destroy it. Since the weapon also has Outlaw, then you'll usually be able to reload quickly after dispatching your target. As far as how this weapon competes against the likes of Whisper and, well, the Whisper still wins. Infinite ammo is basically cheating. In fights with longer damage phases, I found myself completely out of ammo and had to swap to a heavy weapon to finish out the phase. That honestly doesn't sound that bad though. Sure, in ideal scenarios, Sleeper, Whisper, and Thunderlord will annihilate enemy health bars, but that comes at the cost of hoarding heavy ammo throughout a fight. With Izanagi, you can use heavy ammo during a fight, or even just the weapon itself, and still have plenty of ammo to spare for a DPS phase. Since Izanagi isn't a sniper in the power slot, it's affected by scavenger perks as well, so you can use the weapon during a fight and not feel like you have to hold back. You don't have to change around your armor sets either if you already use snipers. Now in PvP, I will go ahead and say that the Honed Edge buff is just sweet. You can one-shot people to the body if you have the required 4 rounds, but more importantly, you have a way to combat roaming supers that doesn't involve heavy ammo. However, the one downside is that it does require a ton of ammo to feed this weapon. You will absolutely have to get double scavenger perks if you want to do either of these frequently. In my opinion, you should really only use the Honed Edge buff at 4x stack if you need to one-shot a super, or you just have so much ammo that you can throw some away. Constantly feeding 4 rounds into one shot just burns through ammo, and sniper players still have to then go pick up ammo off the targets, so your kills don't always guarantee a return on ammo. The one main thing I don't like about Honed Edge, aside from the ammo usage, is how it's an all or nothing type perk. If you go for that 4 stack, then you better hit your shot. If not, you just wasted 4 shots, missed your target, have an empty weapon, and now have to reload it, and then you also have the lingering suspicion that everyone is now judging and laughing at you. Since the Honed Edge perk takes a lot to feed and is a little bit situational, I have to ask if the weapon is even worth using for its neutral stats. Fortunately, the weapon just has some solid stats on it that make for a good PvP sniper. While its handling is a little bit low, there are plenty of ways to augment that via armor perks and exotics and other class talents. The range, aim assist, and zoom are all extremely close to the Frigid Jackal, another sniper I adore using in PvP. The scope, outside of a weird reflective issue that I'm going to go over a little bit later, is very clear and open. I've been a fan of scopes with an O as the reticle because it feels like it represents where the bullets will go a little bit better. You can basically get any part of the O on your target, and aim assist will just take care of the rest. This makes aiming much easier in the faster paced PvP environment. Before we finish off, there are a few things I wanted to take note on about the gun. If you ever gain a buff that causes your character to glow, then looking down the scope will have an odd reflective effect. This can really get in the way of shooting accurately, and you have to stay ADS for a few seconds until the effect kind of dissipates on screen. Another thing is a problem I have with all weapons in Destiny, but it's amplified on Izanagi's. Whenever you reload a weapon, the weapon is actually reloaded before the animation is finished. You can see this by watching the magazine ammo count during a reload. If you sprint forward or swap weapons, you can cancel the rest of the animation and start aiming down sights. During this time, you can press the trigger, but the weapon won't fire. It will only fire when the animation timer has finished in the background. That gets pretty frustrating when you're in a hectic scenario like a damage phase where you're constantly reloading and getting the honed edge buff. So to round things off, Izanagi's Burden is a wonderful addition to the high damaging weapons exotic suite. While it doesn't compete with the Kings, it gets close enough that you can vary your loadout some and not be missing out on too much. In PvP, it has some extremely high peaks in terms of power level. One-shotting people is always a powerful ability, and I think this weapon hits a good happy medium with how much you have to invest to get that. I hope you found this review helpful. If you did, a positive rating would be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.